Hello and welcome. In this exciting episode, I will be making a floral dress from this vintage Vogue pattern.
It's perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Perfect jacket.
So I'm making the 1955 vintage Vogue pattern, and I saw this fabric, gosh, ages ago now, and it just reminds me of that Liberty of London print, they've got this really specific rose one, and it reminds me of this one. So yeah, this isn't Liberty, but yeah, when I saw it, I was like, oh, right. And then I could only get 2 yards, but I got it anyway. And yeah, finally I have a dress. I thought I was going to have to make a shirt out of it, but yeah, I've got this dress pattern. So yeah, I've cut out all the pieces, and it's so weird. The front, the bodice has, well, you're supposed to cut the back in 2 bits, but I cut it on the fold in 1 bit, and the front is 1 bit, and then you've got 2 front side bits and 2 side back bits. It is so weird. So I'm lining mine. Oh, and then you have the facing for the neck and the facing for the sleeves as well. But I'm not doing those. I'm doing a fully lined bodice. So yeah, that gave me a practice run, a chance to sew all the bits together and figure out how on earth you're supposed to do this. Yeah, it's super confusing, but I've got the finished dress here beside me as I edit and rate this, and it's absolutely adorable. It's so chic and a little too fancy for my everyday, perhaps. But it sort of went together. But yeah, I would highly recommend doing the bodice and aligning of the bodice first, just to sort of get your bearings and practice, so that when you do the outside fabric, it's nice. So yeah, I decided the bodice was too difficult, so I was going to do the skirt first. So yeah, here's me doing the skirt, and it's a little weird. It's got, the front has 2 pleats and the back has 4 darts, which is very odd. Normally it's all darts or all pleats, but yeah, again, the finished dress is quite cute. So here's the finished dress. So we've got 1 pleat on the either side of the front, and then if I swish it round to the back, you can see that there's 2 darts on either side for the back. So yeah, it does seem odd. As I was making it, I was like, oh, pleats on the front, darts on the back, I don't know. But yeah, rest assured it works itself out. And so once you've done those, you have to press it and press them towards the center on both the front and the back. Then it's time to sew the front and the back together. And yeah, obviously the bit with the orange pins is the where I have to leave an opening for the side closure. Once you machine sew that, then you press it, and however you do your seams, you have to finish those. I turn them under and then hand stitch them, but you do you. So now it is finally time for the bodice, and it is just so weird. So you take the front piece, and you have to do the same with the back piece, and you have to, as well as all the bits that you cut out, you have to cut a 5 centimeter square, which is like let me just read the inches thing. It's an inch, just over an inch, like 1.25 inches, and you have to put them at the certain marks under the arms. So basically you have to slash up into this fabric more, and yeah, so you have to put a little square of fabric so that you're going to have enough to do your seam allowance for both the side of the bodice and under the sleeve. It's, yeah, if you try and overthink it, it will just be confusing. Well, it was for me at any rate. But I'll show you the finished. I'll show you a close-up of the finished, and you'll see how it works itself out. And if I'd seen a close-up of the finished dress, I would totally understand what was going on. But because I was just reading instructions, I did not understand at all. So I'll show you now. Here is the dress, and we'll just look under the left arm. Okay, so can you see? So this is the side, the seam line, the edge of the front bodice, and that's the bit under there is the side front. And as you can see, you cannot see the square of fabric at all. It just functions as a seam allowance. But yeah, if I had known that, if they just said that in the instructions, then I would have understood what the hell was going on. But yeah, obviously, when you cut out on a flat bit of fabric the whole of the front and the whole of the sleeve, then yeah, you just don't have room for seam allowance under there. So yeah, you have to do these inserts, and you have to use the squares to bulk out the seam allowance so they actually everything all stays where it is. So yeah, and as I said, I did a lining as well, so I got to practice putting everything together. So even if you don't normally like linings on your dresses, on the bodice of your dresses, then I definitely recommend it for this one, just because it's so confusing to get your head around it. Anyhow, so you have to put the squares in the particular position and draw on the, it's basically you just extending the seam, where the seam line will go, and then you sew along them with the machine, and once you've sewn that arrow bit, then you cut in that straight line in the middle, and you end up with essentially you're sewing yourself in some seam allowance so that you can add that side front piece. Yeah, if I just did not understand what I was doing. If they'd just told me that I was essentially adding seam allowance so everything else would work, then I think I would have understood what I was trying to do. But yeah, I was so tempted to just skip this adding a square thing. But yeah, you cannot do that. It's essential. Next, you have to press them. You have to sort of iron the square squished one way on the triangle, and then you have to iron it the other way so that, yeah, it will work as a seam allowance for the body, for the torso side. Then it will work as a seam allowance for the sleeve side. Anyhow, and to confuse you even more, then they just stop talking about that triangle thing, square thing, and you have to just put darts in. So yeah, the next step is to put the 2 darts in the top of the back and do the 2 darts that are in the bottom of the front. And then once you've done them, you press them. Now it is time to add the side fronts to the front bodice and the side backs to the back bodice. So the first thing is they have you stay stitch the top part of the side bodice. Part of it is to just keep it stable, but also I think it's really useful because you need to understand where your seam line is. And yeah, so even if you don't normally stay stitch, you're really good at working with fabric, definitely put it in for this one, and then sort of iron it just so to reinforce in your mind. Maybe it's just me, but yeah, I found it really useful for reinforcing which bit was going where. So then I found it easier to just pin so now you have to put all the pieces together. I found it easiest to just do the side of the front to the side, one side is for the side and one side is for the sleeve. So yeah, put the 2 sides together and go all the way up right into the corner. Then you have to sort of twist everything around and pin the undersleeve sections of both pieces together. And yeah, just keep remembering that the little square is just seam allowance. That is all it is there for. And yeah, once I kept saying that, literally kept saying that to myself and holding them together so that they were seam allowance together, then I was like, okay, now I'm getting it. And then, yeah, I even sort of trimmed my little triangle so that my little square, so that it was perfectly, the seam allowance was perfect with each one. So that might just be me, but yeah, I found it much easier when I did it that way. Just saying it's just seam allowance, it's just seam allowance. But yeah, so eventually and then you have to machine sew, of course, and you just got to be so careful with the points at the top. So you go sew both sides together, then you have to pivot in the corner, and you have to, before you turn everything around, like you do not lift your needle up, but you turn both bits around differently in different ways. And yeah, I just found it confusing, but as long as you just remember that little square is only seam allowance, then for me that helped me. And here I am showing you. I don't think showing you will help, but yeah, so that's the piece that hasn't been pinned to anything, and here's the the mirror piece being pinned. So hopefully you can sort of understand how it goes. It's just a little bit tricky, but once you sort of grapple with the idea that it's 3-dimensional, not 2-dimensional, it sort of becomes a little easier, but it's still quite tricky to do. And then here it is that it's finally done. I honestly didn't think I was going to make it. I was like, oh, can I just abandon this and start? Do I have time to start another dress? I found it really difficult. It might just be me, but yeah. I understand why you would use this type of construction method for a coat. And if you think about the dress as just, practicing in a few dress rehearsals before you make, cut into expensive wool and potentially wreck something that costs quite a lot, then I can understand it. But making a dress this way just for the sake of making a dress this way, you would have to hate setting seams so much to prefer this type of construction. I don't have a problem setting sleeves. So dolman sleeves are always a bit, I don't think they're the most essential thing, but yeah, I mean, I guess it's good to try it at least once. So anyway, once I've done the front, once I've done the back, then of course you press them and you have to sew them together. You sew them together first along the shoulders, and then you sew the sides, but of course you have to leave that section in the left side where your side closure is going to go, your zip. And this cream coloured one is my lining. So that's a whole full one there as well. Now it is time, if you're doing facings, it's time to get out the facing pieces. But if you're doing a full lining, then yeah, you just have to sew the two of them together around the neckline. And then you have to so I sew them together, and then I hand stitch them together, but you can top stitch if that's what you want. And you also have to finish the sleeves. Once the bodice is done, and of course I went ahead and did the skirt first, then you have to pin them together and sew them together. And that was done. And then you sort of turn the seams up and you stitch them into place. And then if you're doing a really snug fitting one, there's also an inside belt that you have to do. Basically, if you're one of those people who love a really, really fitted dress, then there's going to be a lot of tension at your zip. So you have to do an inside belt, which is basically just gross grain, like a thick ribbon, or just cut 2 salvages off your fabric and stitch them together twice, and then put a hook and eye on it. It just takes some tension off your zip if you wear a really, really snug dress, but I prefer mine regular or baggy even. So I didn't do that. I just finished the lining. I turned down the lining of my bodice, as you can see it there, and hand stitched that into place. Next, I did the hem, and you have to pin that 3 inches, which is 7.5 centimeters of hem allowance. So yeah, I turned that, but then I turned under a tiny bit at the top, and then I just hand stitched that into place, slip stitch. And then I'm not sure why I'm showing you my beautiful the way I finished my side seams of the skirts. Oh, this is where the side closure goes. So if you're using a zip, then you just, I do the old-fashioned method. You stitch, hand sew the rest of the seam so that everything's where you're going to put the seam is all flat and perfectly as it's going to be once the dress is finished. So that's just hand sewn together, and as you can see from the pins, it's just holding the dress into place. And then I just put the pins there with no zip. Then I put the zip on and then just take out a pin and place it back in over the zip. So that's my way of doing it. But yes, we've had a snag because I bought the zip that they said to on the back of the packet, but it's too short. Yeah, I've had to make my side closure gap a couple of centimeters, so half an inch longer than what is standard in the pattern. And just because it's a fitted dress and I don't want to have to wiggle into it each time. I want it to be not in any danger of tearing each time I try to fit my hips in. So yeah, I've got these two longer ones, but yeah, one's for a coral dress and the other one's for this darker rose fabric, and I just don't think they'll be okay on this fabric here. I think it really needs the lighter green, or the camera's not really picking up how green the leaves are. I feel like you don't really notice it. But yeah, I think it really does need a green or a pink. I also had a peach one and a beige one, but yeah, they're not right either. So I think I have to go to the store anyway to get another zip for the Rita dress. So I think I'll just end this video without me adding the zip. But yeah, I just do it the old-fashioned way. I baste it into place, then pin stitch it, and then take out my basting stitches. Anyway, so annoyingly, I had to take out my basting stitches before I've actually put the zip in, so I'm going to have to do them again. But here is the finished dress, and I'm really happy with the way that it turned out. This is me just admiring. You can't really see any of the hand stitching, and so yeah, my tension is much better than sometimes when I'm rushing. My tension is quite bad, and you can end up seeing, well, not the stitches you can't see, but you can see that there's something there. And yeah, so, and this is what those side panels look like. I mean, they do look nice and they do look a bit fancy, but the amount of trouble you have to go to put them in, and yeah, I really, really, really hated this dress. The first, like when I was doing the lining, like the practice run, I was like, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. I'm not making this dress. And then when I finally figured it out, oh yeah, one of my pumpkins was rolling away, so I had to put that back. But yeah, so I like it now that I've done it, but oh my goodness, this dress was so difficult. It was so ridiculously hard to understand what was going on. And yeah, but it looks lovely. And yeah, I think it was a really good idea to use this fabric. In the picture on the website, they have that, like they've made up a sample, and it's much darker. So I was worried about using something so summery and light. But I mean, I don't live in a place that ever gets particularly cold. It's always quite mild, even, you know, in the depth of winter. So, and probably wear this in summer anyway. But yeah, I'm really happy with the way that it turned out. I should probably show you the website pictures. Here we have the illustrations, which are adorable, for V8875 from 1955. And you can see she's got a darker floral dress, and then there's a picture of mine. I think they're pretty good, pretty fair pictures. Sometimes, yeah, the illustrations bear no resemblance to the actual finished product once you've made it. But yeah, I think this one is pretty good. There is a belt that you can make, but as I said, I only bought 2 yards of this fabric, so I guess I have enough to make a really thin tie, maybe. But and there's also a coat, so I think I will make this one maybe one more time, and then I'll make the coat. But yeah, there's also these simplicity ones. This one here is Simplicity. It's from the 1950s. It's vintage, and it's got a side closure, so it's got a zip, and it's vintage dresses and lined coats. And I think these ones would be really good to make. They also have pockets, which I know some people really love. I think such a slimline dress, I'm not sure I'd have anything more in my pockets than a handkerchief, but I mean, it's good that they're there, I guess. The coat also has a shorter line, so you can make it jacket length, but I do prefer the coat. There's also this Simplicity. It's I don't think it's an actual vintage, but it is taken from one, and it's got no side closure, so it's a looser one, and you just pull it over the top, over your head. And yeah, I think it's got really similar lines, but it's better if you want one that isn't quite so snug. So yeah, I think I probably prefer this one. And again, it doesn't have those tricky underarm gussety things that this one that I've just done has, this Vogue one. Sorry, that was Simplicity 8981. So yeah, there we go. There we have it. I do like this dress. I like it a lot. But yeah, it is it is troublesome. It says it's for average sews, so maybe I'm just a bit of a basic beach. But yeah, so next I'm doing the flamenco fabric, the Tula Pink flamenco fabric up in the that Audrey dress, which is Vogue 8789, but I'm doing the nice one with the borders, not the other one that I didn't like. And this one with the borders has got slightly better reviews than the other version A, that they also came in the same packet. So here's hoping. But my next video, that's the dress I'm making next. But before that, you will see my pink jacket. So there's this lint and tweed in sort of oranges, metallic orange and pink. And I'll be making that Chanel style jacket out of a lint and tweed. Then after the flamenco one, I think I'm only going to have time to do 2 more dresses. So the sage one and the Sabrina one. I think they're going to be the last 2 that I can cram into November. I do have like that, the sort of fancy wrap one that I call the burgundy, and this one with the ribbon around the shoulders. And this, I just have so many dresses that I really, really want to try out. Actually, that one there is a shirt, a blouse, and a jacket blouse and a skirt. It's 2-piece. But yeah, I've just got so many I want to try out. But unfortunately, not enough time. So I think I'll just do, this Sage and the Sabrina, those 2 there, I think. But for now, I will, crack on with this flamenco one, and hopefully it turns out. Hopefully. So thank you for watching, and yeah, I hope you have better luck when you're making your version of this dress, because it just, flummoxed me. I feel like I'm going to get flashbacks if there's any like small squares of this fabric ever lying around anywhere. I'm going to get flashbacks to how difficult it was for me to put those bits in and figure out what on earth they were for. But I do really like the way that it turned out. I've got a darker floral in a cotton sateen. It's sort of a really inky navy black with cream and dark pink flowers on it, which I'll show you because it's not as bad as it sounds. I'll use this fabric because it's only a 2-yard cut. I think I'll use this fabric to make another version of this dress, just to give it another chance where I'm not screaming at it in frustration, trying to work out what on earth I'm supposed to do. And I think I'll make that one up, and then I'll try and make the coat, because I think that coat will look beautiful. Thank you again for watching, and I hope you have a lovely, frustration-free weekend of sewing ahead of you.